Welcome to the show. Before we get started on this episode, make sure you like the channel and subscribe to be notified, and also hit the notification bell so whenever we release a new episode, you're the first to know. We like to be very inquisitive and wonder why things are the way they are. Sometimes I've taken flights to different destinations. On the ticket, it says the flight is supposed to take about 8 hours, but you get there in 7 or 7.5. And you wonder, why does it say longer than the actual flight is? So that's what we're going to discuss in this episode. Why airlines make flights longer on purpose. Let's dive right in. If you've ever wondered why flight times seem to be getting longer, it's called padding, a phenomenon that helps airlines arrive on time, but at a cost. So, in the 1960s, it took 5 hours to fly from New York to Los Angeles, and just 45 minutes to hop from New York to Washington, D.C. Today, these same flights now take 6+ hours and 75 minutes, respectively, although the airports haven't moved further apart. It's called schedule creep, or padding, and it's a secret the airlines don't want you to know about, especially given the spillover effects for the environment. Padding is the extra time airlines allow themselves to fly from A to B. Because these flights were consistently late, airlines have now baked delays in experience for decades into their schedules instead of improving operations. Do you see what they're doing there? If they tell you the flight is 45 minutes and they're late, passengers will complain. But if they tell you it's 75 minutes and they get there in 50 minutes, they're early. So it might seem innocuous enough to the passenger. After all, what can it mean? What it can mean is that even though you take off late, you're pleasantly surprised to arrive on time at your destination. However, this global trend poses multiple problems. Not only does your journey take longer, but creating the illusion of punctuality means there's no pressure on airlines to become more efficient, meaning congestion and carbon emissions will keep rising. It happens all the time. Flights always leave later than they're supposed to, but still arrive on time. I've always wondered. Or even before time. On average, over 30% of all flights arrive more than 15 minutes late every day, despite padding, says Captain Michael Bayadia, president of aviation consultancy ATH Group, citing the U.S. Department of Transportation's Air Travel Consumer Report. The figure used to be 40%, but padding, not operational improvements, boosted on-time arrival rates. So by padding, airlines are gaming the system to fool you and I. He says if instead airlines tackled operational issues, customers would directly benefit. So padding drives higher costs in fuel burn, noise, and CO2, which means if airline efficiency goes up, costs go down, benefiting both the environment and fares. Of course, airlines know customers value punctuality. For example, Delta Airlines, for one, goes to great lengths to ensure its flights are on time more often. According to the U.S. Department of Transportation, Delta attributes this to a $2 billion investment in new aircraft, cabins, and airport facilities, but continually emphasizes on-time performance is a driver of higher fares. So, if arriving on time pays off for customers and airlines, why don't the airlines work on efficiency instead of lengthening flight times? That's a very good question. So, how late is too late? Or how late is late? The ultimate goal is AO, or arrival at the gate exactly on time. If a flight is early or late, it can disrupt several other things like gate availability and airport capacity. There is even a language for describing this punctuality, so any delay beyond AO adds the number of minutes the aircraft arrived late at the gate, A15, for an aircraft that's 15 minutes late. But anything between AO and A14 is not considered late by the U.S. Department of Transportation. So the DOT created this global standard for measuring on time before the advent of modern data and communications that today make AO achievable. This means that airlines still have a window to hit to be on time rather than a very specific slot, which can lead to congestion. What does this mean? Air traffic control must make allowances for this because too many planes arriving around the same time overwhelms airports. So air traffic control stretches out aircraft approaches, slowing arrival rates. To be fair, global airlines have invested billions of dollars in technologies to enable more efficient flight paths, according to the industry body Airlines for America. But this has not moved the needle on delays, which are stubbornly stuck at 30%. A lot of different things can cause a delay, but IDEA believes 80% of the factors involved, like schedule, airport, arrival, flow queuing, aircraft availability, gate availability, maintenance, and crew legality, are within the airlines' control. But to date, they have left it to air traffic control to remedy once planes are in the air. Once an aircraft is off to the gates, the airlines forget about it until it arrives at the next airport, he explains. He says there's a better way. They could be tracking their aircraft and adjusting operations throughout the flight, managing aircraft sequencing, choosing flight speeds and paths, leaving air traffic control to concentrate on separation and safe operation of the airspace. Part of the problem is schedules are designed by airlines for perfect conditions, Tom Hendricks, a retired airline executive, told BBC WorkLife. But on any given day, you might have weather, air traffic control, or company network disruptions, and the system must adjust. But Hendricks believes on most days, airlines could be doing more to ensure the flow of planes into the airport is as efficient as possible, as this is integral to their economic success. Another option could be, to reduce the number of flights. But airline flight schedules are designed to meet buyer demand. So if there were fewer flights, fares would increase. Very interesting. Better late than never. So, are there any solutions on the horizon? One of the biggest assumptions is that modernizing air traffic control will solve the problem. Billions of dollars in investment have, in fact, halved air traffic control caused delays since 2007, while airline-caused delays have soared, according to a 2016 Bloomberg report. Wow. He has come up with a business-based flow management, BBFM system, which involves airlines working with air traffic control to optimize efficiency in the air. Tests in 2012 by 4 industry and academic bodies, including the Federal Aviation Administration, the FAA, validated BBFM at 5 airports. Overall, it reduced delays, fuel burn, noise, CO2 emissions, and air traffic control congestion, and rapidly increased capacity. Fantastic. From that, Delta saved $74 million in fuel alone, saving 635 million pounds of CO2. With airlines under pressure to cut costs, increase profits, and reduce their environmental impact, why aren't they already working with air traffic control on this? That's a very good question. Airlines have invested in new technology before, with mixed results, Hendricks says. They are now very careful about what they do invest in. This is complicated by the fact that they are investing heavily in the technology required by global air traffic control. Modernization now underway. Hendricks, who was working at Delta when it was testing BIDA's technology, was a reluctant convert to the system. It took some analysis from the Georgia Institute of Technology to counter his considerable skepticism. Even so, he says the technology has never been fully integrated and tested within the whole air traffic control system. Why not? So while he is convinced there is great potential, he thinks BBFM needs that testing. So, what does all this mean for you and I as a passenger? With airlines gaming the system as it stands, flight times will likely increase as more and more planes take to the skies. Stalling tactics like padding flight times have become common practice for airlines, says passenger rights activist Paloma Salmaron, spokesperson for Air Help. She claims that this tactic not only enables airlines to claim they have improved on-time OT flight performance, but it also makes it easier to swerve the magical 3-hour limit on delays, the threshold that qualifies passengers to file compensation claims, at least under European Union passenger rights laws. Many airlines will try to make it tricky for passengers to get an eligible claim accepted, and the tactic of extending flight times is yet another way to decrease a passenger's chance of filing a claim and getting financially compensated for the hassle they have to go through, or they have gone through. Yet, this padding hasn't solved aviation system woes that plague consumers. There's a lot airlines can do to improve efficiency, and BIDA's solution is one of them, says airline consultant Bob Mann. When it comes to delays and congestion, airlines are still complaining it's an air traffic control problem, when it is not. And he says, my view is they should stop complaining and do something about it, benefiting customers, employees, investors, and the communities they serve. I couldn't agree more. Well, that brings us to the end of this interesting episode. Now you know why flight times are longer than it actually takes to get to your destination. I hope we've all learned something today. Please make sure you subscribe, like the video, give us a thumbs up. Head over to buymeacoffee.com/SamsonKing to make a small donation. We always appreciate it. And as always, thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you next time.